Warning, the following video features outdoor activities performed by average Joes. As you will see, there are clearly no pros in this video. With that being said, enjoy.
Have you ever wandered through the woods trying to find deer sign, but can't tell what deer sign is? Stay tuned and I'll show you. Welcome to this week's episode. Thanks for tuning in. On today's episode, hunting seasons across the country are closed. It's the end of January and it's time to do a little bit of scouting for next season. It's the perfect time to get out into the woods for springtime. You can decipher deer sign pretty easily. And this video is just going to be a little of the basics. We're not going to get too in-depth in it, but 6 things that you should be looking for when you're out walking in the woods, and I'm going to bring them to you here on today's episode. So let's find the first deer sign. Alrighty, I didn't go too far, and I've already found the first sign that you should be looking for when you're walking in the woods, and that is a deer print, track, whatever you want to call it. Deer prints are very easy to spot. They're unique only to deer, so you're not going to mix it up with another animal. And let me show you here what a deer track looks like. It's so deer have hooves, and they leave an impression in the ground that looks like this. So there you see the hoof print right there, and as you can tell, very distinct print. That is a deer print. You will not mistake that for any other animal. If you see that in the woods, you got deer. So another quick tip about the hoof, the deer print, is by this you could tell it's walking this way, because you got the 2 ends here pointing that way, so that deer is walking this way. Just a quick tip, side note on that. But that's your first deer sign that you should be looking for when you're in the woods. Pretty distinct, easy to find, and it's the deer print. So now let's move on to the next deer sign. Alrighty, deer sign number 2 that you should be looking for when you're in the woods. I'll show you it here. So you got number 1 was the print, number 2 is a trail, and I'll show you here real quick what a trail looks like. So this is what a deer trail looks like, a heavily used deer trail. You see here, you got this line right here, comes up through here, and then it splits. One goes this way, and the other goes that way. That's a deer trail. If you do move some of the leaves around, you can tell, you can see the deer print in the trail. You also see poop on the trail. Here's a couple other examples of trails, and as you can see, they're pretty defined. It's easier now, early in the year when it's wet, to actually see the distinct trails. Once you get a little drier, it's kind of hard unless you're down by a creek crossing or somewhere where it's wet and you can tell the deer have been walking through there. So what that'll tell you is deer are using that route to travel back and forth. Does will use it, bucks will use trails, same trails, fawns, you name it. Any type of deer is going to use that trail. Now, could there be trails that you can't see as good? Yes. That's the easiest way to find a trail, is find a trail that's been heavily used. And what's nice about walking in the woods at this time of the year is it's wet. You'll be able to see the trails a lot easier, especially if you're a beginner. If you're a seasoned veteran, then you'll know where to look in the woods to find a trail. But that's deer sign number 2. Let's move on to number 3. All right, so here's deer sign number 3. good old chocolate raisins. So that's how I would describe deer sign number 3 is chocolate raisins. As you see in the video here, that's deer poop. Again, very distinctive. You're not going to mix it up with raccoon, coyote. If you see chocolate raisins in the woods, you know there's deer in the area. And you'll see a variety of size poop. You'll see small, you'll see big, you'll see sometimes they won't be individual like that. They're going to be more clumped up together. You'll see that as well. It's all pertaining to the diet of the deer, the hydration of the deer. So obviously you're going to find deer poop on trails and beds. If you got piles of deer poop or chocolate raisins, that's a good sign that there's deer definitely in the area. So you got the deer print, you got the trail, you got deer poop. Those 3 things could be a variety of does, bucks, fawns. This next sign that I'm going to show you is strictly for bucks. All right, so deer sign number 4, and this one is strictly for bucks. So if you see this sign in the woods, you know that's not a doe, it's not a fawn, it's a buck. What size buck? Kind of depends on different things, but here's the basic. That right there is called a rub. And if you see that on a tree, there's definitely been a buck in the area. So I'll give you a couple other examples here of what rubs look like. They can be on small trees, medium size, they can even be on large trees if the buck is big enough. So as you get more and more rubs, the rubs could reveal a corridor buck movement that helps you understand where they go and how they get there. Usually it shows movement between bedding and feeding areas. I've seen also, if you find rubs in a circle around an area, most likely, not all the time, but most likely there's a buck bedding in that area and he's going around marking his territory. Let the other bucks know, hey, I got this spot taken. So when I see a rub, I'm not going to hang a stand like 20 yards from it. I'm just not going to do that. There's another sign out there that you should find and you should set a stand on in the general vicinity of it, which is deer sign number 5, which I'll show you here in a sec. We've gone through the deer print, we've gone through what a trail looks like, we've gone through what deer poop looks like, we've gone through what a rub looks like. Deer sign number 5 I'm going to show you is also strictly for bucks, and if you see this in the woods, you should definitely get excited. One thing I forgot to mention about rubs is there's a telltale sign you could tell if the rub is fresh or if it's an old one. And the way you can tell that is if you look at for example, this one I'm going to show you. You see the rub, you go all the way down to the base of the tree, and if the shavings are still on top of the leaves, you know that is a fresh rub. Older rubs, you won't see the shavings. That's just a quick tip that I forgot to mention earlier. So we'll get back to the programming. Deer sign number 5 is going to be the scrape. And if you see something like this, you should definitely get excited about it. So obviously this is a buck doing this. What he does, he comes in and he usually, most of the times it's under a small tree. The deer will come in, he'll take his hoofs and he'll scratch the ground, kind of like a 3-foot oval. Sometimes they're bigger. Again, this is just the basics. So he'll come in, he'll scratch the ground with his hoofs, clean it out, get all the leaves, debris out of there, and then he'll urinate down the sides of his legs to where you call the tarsal glands. And then those glands drop into the scrape and they give off a scent that does other bucks can get a whiff of. And then because it's under a small little tree, they usually go up top and mess with the branch, which is called a licking branch, and he'll rub his antlers in there, he'll get all his scent on it, he'll crack off some limbs, he'll rub his orbital glands in there, add more scent to it. Then he'll rub his forehead on it, add some even more scent. So basically it's just a big communication hub for bucks and does. So with the scrapes, that's how they communicate. So a lot of the times if I find a scrape in the woods, I'm fired up. I'm setting the trail camera on it, and the things you will see on that trail camera are amazing. But you'll get bucks, big, small bucks. You'll get does, fawns. They come in there, they get the scent. You'll see does rubbing up on it, just depositing their scent. So it's just a big communication hub for deer. That mid-September, I would say end of November time frame, that's when those scrapes are most active. I get more fired up with scrapes just because of the fact that the amount of deer that hit that scrape is more than what a rub does. So we got one more. We went through the print, deer print, we went through the trail, we went through deer poop, went through a rub, went through scrape, and the last one, number 6, is a bed. Now it's a little bit harder to decipher a bed when there's no snow on the ground. When there's snow on the ground, you could find a bed real easy, and all it is what happens is the deer gets in an area where he wants to relax a little bit, and he'll just go bed down. Bucks, does, fawns, bed down, and they'll create like a little oval in the ground, and you could see it a lot better in the snow, like I said. But that's where a deer is resting, sleeping. That's why they call it a bed. So if you see beds in the woods, that's a good sign that deer are again in the area and that you have deer. A couple things you could see is if the leaves are matted down, that'll get your attention. Now if you go over there, most of the time there's deer hair in the bed. That's a good telltale sign that that's a deer bed. Another sign that you'll see in it is you'll see the matted down leaves, and then you'll see a pile of poop. That's also a telltale sign that that is a deer bed. Obviously the deer bedded down, got up, did its business, and went off with life. So another thing with deer beds is you can have multiple beds in an area. Usually that's does and fawns bedding. Then you'll also see single beds. Most likely those are buck beds. Obviously when the bucks group up, there'll be more. Like during the rut, that big buck wants to be by itself. He's gonna bed down by himself. Whereas does and fawns, they group up and bed all together. Usually they're in the thick areas too. Thick areas on the base of big trees, down trees they'll be by. And just a quick little side note to beds. So deer will bed down, and he will bed down facing downwind. And they'll do that because they'll have the wind at their back. So if they have the wind at their back and it's blowing past them and downwind, they're able to hear any predator trouble from behind them. And then they sit facing downwind to where they can see trouble, predators in the area. So not that that means anything or anything, but when you see a buck bed down, he will bed down facing downwind because he can see what's out in front of him, and then he's got the wind from behind blowing past him, so he can hear anything behind him. So he's kind of got the front covered with sight, the back is covered by the wind, and that's how they bed down. And that to me is the basics the basic deer sign that you should be looking at the next time you're in the woods scouting or just walking around. Comment down below, let me know if there's anything I missed as far as basic deer sign. We went through the deer print, we went through what a trail looks like, we went through what deer poop looks like, we went through what a rub looks like, what a scrape looks like, and what a bed looks like. So to me, those are the 6 basic deer sign to look out for. Like I said, if you're scouting or just walking in the woods. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, type them down below. And then to stay up to date with the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. So far, I appreciate all the support that's been coming through. Continuing to grow the channel. Again, appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate the support. Let's keep it going. And remember, there's no better reality than outdoor reality. Thanks for watching.